So today we're going to be talking about the movie Vox Lux, which stars Natalie Portman. This movie was really interesting because it basically gives you the life of a pop star, from her starting as a kid to her in her 30s. It's funny when I first saw this movie, I had no idea anything about this. I see this opening scene and I was like, oh my God, this is how this movie starts. And I didn't really know it was about, pop music or anything. And so it's like, okay, we have Raffey Cassidy, who plays the younger version of Natalie Portman's character. And, she's in school and then some really horrific things happen and you're like, oh my God. What is this movie, right? And then, you start realizing, oh, okay, this is where her inspiration comes and this is where, this is how it's going to drive the story forward, right? But man, that opening scene does not go away. Like when you're watching this movie, you're like, oh my God, like, wow. But it set a tone. Let's just say it set a tone. And eventually, you get a little more into the story. Jude Law becomes, her manager. And because she's really good, right? It's like she starts singing and, they put her, in concerts and do all these things, and she's incredible, right? And what I found so interesting with this movie is, there's a lot of movies you see, biopics or about musicians, and there's a lot of tropes that go along with this. And I mean, there might be a couple here and there in this movie, but I mean, for the most part, I loved the way they moved the story forward. One really interesting choice that this movie made was you have Raffey Cassidy in the movie as the Natalie Portman character when she's a child, but then it switches to Natalie Portman. Now that's not surprising. But what is surprising is how they structure the movie. You have so many scenes with Raffey Cassidy, right? And to the point of where I actually forgot Natalie Portman was in this movie. I mean, like, I would say Raffey Cassidy maybe over an hour is in this movie. And, then there's a very distinct moment where it's like, here we go. This is the second half of the movie. And, some really crazy things happen again. And you're like, whoa. And then there's Natalie Portman. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, here we go. Like, it's almost like a brand new section is starting. It's like, but it's very unexpected. This movie really reminds you, Natalie Portman is a phenomenal actress. I mean, the second she comes on screen, she commands it instantly. It's like, oh yeah, she's in this movie. And then she just blows you away with her just extreme commitment, You're like, yeah, like right away you're like, yeah, you buy it. But, but having said that, this movie makes a really weird choice, a really interesting choice, but I don't know, because in the movie it's never explained. It's never revealed. You have to figure it out on your own, which I was fine with. But like, there's this second where you're like, huh? Where Natalie Portman basically has this daughter, and she comes into the room, and you're like, wait, no, what? That's Raffey Cassidy. And I was like, wait, what's happening right now? Because you're like, yeah, that's, because like they make it clear like that Natalie Portman's character is the Raffey Cassidy character, so you're like, yeah, that's her. But then like Raffey Cassidy comes in, and you're like, wait, what? Like, huh? But they don't say, oh, she doesn't go like, there isn't like some bullshit explanation where they're like, well, there's my daughter. You just have to figure it out. It's like, she's not like, hey mom, nothing like that is spoken. So as it's happening, the scene's playing out, and you're like, well, wait a minute. Who is that? And then you're like, oh, okay, because then her sister's there, and I found that very, very jarring. But honestly, it's totally fine. This movie is so fast paced and has so much energy. I was really enjoying it, you know, and I love the characters. I mean, Jude Law is really good in this movie. Like he's that manager, and you know, I was like, oh, they're gonna go with like the cliche manager, you know, where it's like, oh, he gets her when she's young, and then, oh, look, he screwed her over, and now, you know, she has to fire him and all that. No, they don't do any of that bullshit. Like I was like, oh, thank God. You know, I there's so many cliches in movies that when you start watching a new movie, you're kind of like, are they gonna do? Oh, okay, no, they didn't. Okay. It's all good. You know, like they did something different with that. Actually, there is one particular scene with Natalie Portman and Jude Law where I was like, what? There is a single line that she says to him where I was like, okay, you know, and this movie is so unapologetic about it. It's just like, yep, guess what, man, that's life. People, you know, in life stuff happens, and you just keep moving forward, you know. And I love that this movie doesn't tie everything up in a nice bow at the end. I mean, it's not like, oh, it's this big tragedy either. It's just like, look at this rock star, you know, pop star. She'd been through a lot of stuff when she was a kid. Now that she's older, you know, she's struggling with all kinds of battles. You know, she drinks a lot of alcohol. She does a bunch of crazy stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's tons of people like this, and they keep moving forward, and they battle with it, and you know, they get through it, and that's life. And this movie gets that really, really well, you know, because eventually, you know, when you get towards the end of the movie and the third act's happening, I mean, you're really kind of expecting that, like, here's that revelation where she's like, I'm going to clean my life up and everything's going to be good. And no, it doesn't do anything like that. Like, it's a lot more realistic about it. I like the way they handled that, you know. And also, all the scenes with like Natalie Portman singing, you're like, damn, like she really was committed to this. Like as there's this big concert scene, you're like, damn, man, like you feel like, wait, is Natalie Portman a pop star? Like, damn, good, go girl, Jesus. You know, it was really entertaining, that all of the music stuff. So, what do you think of Vox Lux? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of that opening scene? Oh my God, I was like, oh man, that opening scene is not for the faint of heart. Trust me. Or what did you think of Natalie Portman? She was just phenomenal as always. Let me know what you think below, and as always, thanks so much for watching. If you like this, click right here and join the laughter. Yay! Hey!